Crypto seeing gains in the last couple of weeks, even with the pending infrastructure bill that comes with a lot of uncertainty this weekend. Crypto in the green, Bitcoin, Cardano, altcoins, everything is moving up. The question as we study these charts, will it continue through August? What's up, everyone? Welcome to Crypto Capital Venture. Hit the subscribe and like on the way in. Let's jump into the video, starting with Bitcoin. Quick glimpse, 51%. Actually, I mean, since this bottom here in July 21st. So end of July, ending up being pretty positive in terms of the charts. Bitcoin up 51% at a critical level. Before we jump into that, I want to cover this real quick in case you missed it. Senator Warner has revised his proposed amendment. It no longer limit the validator exception to proof of work. I think he heard our voices on that, but it still does not protect protocol dev. So it's like a step in the right direction. Ted Cruz, I wanted to cover this. The Senate is on the verge of passing legislation that would be terrible for crypto. It's so good that he's tweeting this and he's talking about it, and there's more. I'm gonna put the link in the description. But this third tweet, given the major flaws in the underlying bill's unworkable and devastating crypto provision, I also filed a separate amendment to strike the whole thing in the event a bipartisan deal can't be reached. We have to act now to stop this. So this was earlier today, around 5 hours ago, and there's going to be a vote. Number one is this area that from this video, July 8th, not going to show a clip, but the reason that I was talking about this area and the revisit to this area is because this is it, the game changer area, as we've been calling it. Now that Bitcoin is at the 20-week moving average, there's no longer this need to even see if it gets there and wait what happens when it does, because we're literally there. One of two things will happen. There will be resistance here or there will not. And that's the exact confirmation that we've really been waiting months for as you study these charts and look at these charts. So Bitcoin on the weekly right now, the 20-week moving average, continuing right now on this weekly to get some overextension above that area. You can see Bitcoin slightly above the 20-week moving average now. This is so big for Bitcoin. How will this weekly candle close? I mean, we got 22 hours, 59 minutes left on this weekly chart. It's going to be very interesting to see, especially as we look at the daily chart. We get rid of this 51% gain. This is where Bitcoin is on the daily, an extremely important area, the 200 moving average, and you're seeing a bit of resistance right here on Bitcoin. I want to show you something real quick though. If we zoom out on this chart, and this is important, note the 20-day moving average cross above the 50-day and the resistance at the 200 moving average. As we see resistance at the 20-week moving average that we just talked about, and I shouldn't say resistance, as we just hit the 20-week moving average. It's not resistance right now. If we zoom out and we take this data on the screen from entering the last bear market, when Bitcoin was testing the 20-week moving average, it was all the way back here in March. Notice Bitcoin was far above the 200 moving average and just testing, or I guess just breaking the 50-day moving average. So there is a completely different story being told right now in terms of Bitcoin. We have the 200 moving average actually above the 20 and the 50 down here. So in my opinion, in my view, this is because it took longer. Obviously, that's not really an opinion. This is why it is. It took longer to consolidate. But in my opinion, what I was going to say is this is solid. This is good for Bitcoin. We want the overextension from the 50-day and the 20-day, which we're getting right now. And the reason we want that, especially when we see a 20-day cross and you see that green line crossing the blue, it allows for, and we're looking for this on Cardano, it allows for cushion and it allows for some type of retrace of consolidation for Bitcoin if it happens to fail here at the 200 moving average, if it happens to fail here at the 20-week moving average. And that's where Bitcoin is. It's at really crucial resistance. So the fact that we have the 20 and the 50-day moving average below is a great sign for Bitcoin, allowing it some cushion, allowing it some time, allowing the structure to form all up in here after we've seen these 51% gains to the upside. And we need structure now. Would we love to see Bitcoin just break to the upside, absolutely, it would be phenomenal. But we have to be very, very aware and cognizant of what is happening here. And that's a 200-day moving average resistance. And if it fails, if Bitcoin gets rejected here on the short term, 20-week moving average could turn into potential resistance. And this next week coming up in 22 hours could prove to be such a crucial, the most crucial week that we've had in really months now. So that's Bitcoin. It's what I'm watching for Bitcoin. Really good to see Bitcoin seeing some gains on these charts. If you look at the weekly chart, so much room for upside as we approach this resistance line on the RSI, a similar area that Bitcoin has seen in the past, and even in the beginning, all the way back here in the beginning of that bear market in 2018. So let's track that. Let's see what Bitcoin does. Let's pivot over to Cardano. Cardano on the weekly. Not going to talk too much about it. You know what we're tracking. We're tracking smart contracts coming weeks ahead, and we're tracking the 20-week moving average, similar, that green line, to what we're tracking on Bitcoin. One thing I did want to point out, though, we have the stock RSI upward momentum right down here on this quicker moving momentum oscillator next to my video down here. So much room for upside. And we have this line, and this is kind of what I'm tracking. We have a swing high in February. We have this lower high on the RSI. This was in May. And you can see that May swing high was the all-time high. And we have this trend line now. And this is going to be what I'm watching for Cardano really in the next 1 to 2 months, because it's going to take a while. If Cardano makes this move, if we see continuation into this bull market, this is what momentum will look like. Could be choppy on the way up, but eventually Cardano getting to this trend line. Could be a month, could be a month and a half, could be 2 months. Don't know, but this is what I'm watching for. If we break this line, and if we approach it, first of all, we're going to be seeing some gains for Cardano. But if we break the line, this could be the catalyst to the explosive move towards the end of this bull market that many are waiting for. Could go into winter, and we could reach these levels once again in winter. And this is kind of an interesting chart on the macro that I'm tracking. And I love tracking different data points on the macro charts because this is what requires the patience. We know there can be some bobbling around down here on the RSI. Even on the stock RSI, we could come up, we could kind of come back down with a 20% dip or something, 30% dip, but still continue to the upside. In the meantime, we have to track these moving averages. We have to track all of these things. A to BTC pair, want to point it out. This is a move right now that we should be tracking. We have this triangle that I've just had charted and watching. I think I've mentioned it on this channel maybe a couple of times. We have the breakout to the downside that Cardano had out of that lower trend line, the bounce back to the lower trend line, and look at that, a pullback to the lower trend line. We see it all the time with these triangles. I talk about it all the time. The rejection now, right now, and this is important to pay attention to, is the current support on the A to BTC pair that we see for Cardano. That's this swing low to that swing high rejection. And check this out, potential support at a Fibonacci support area. So going to be really interesting if Cardano can make its way back up into the lower trend line of the A to BTC pair for an explosive move back into the apex of this triangle. We have to continue tracking it. Wouldn't surprise me with smart contracts coming up, but we have to be very careful on the A to BTC pair because we do have the break to the downside and we do have a double touch, or I guess it's kind of a single touch to the lower trend line, and it was resistance. Cardano didn't break back in like we want to see in a busted triangle. Cardano got rejected at the lower trend line for the BTC pair. So going to be very interesting to watch that because we have those smart contracts coming up and coming into play. So moving over to the USD pair, we got the break. We just started talking about this the other day, this resistance area. Now, if we zoom out on the chart, this is what the area looked like that we're kind of comparing it to, the move that we're watching for Cardano. You can see it here, all the way back here in November, the beginning of the bull market. Cardano putting in similar structure all the way from the 200 moving average on the daily chart, break below and then back up, had a very similar move all the way back in here in September to this Fibonacci resistance and the breakthrough. So we're looking for a very similar move. This is what we want to see, you know, just in that just picturesque crypto move would be a very similar move from the break and extension from the Fibonacci that you see back here in September and just that move to the upside. So if we chart what that might look like, and this is extremely speculative, but this is the move, and you can slow down the uh, velocity of it. You can stretch it out. You can make it smaller. But essentially, this is what we're looking for: an explosive move of separation out of the resistance that it's really at right now. And we always talk about these Fibonacci resistance. It's awesome to see Cardano right now. I mean, at that 786 line, but we haven't had that separation from the 786 line. Cardano's like right there right now, $1.46, and it's trading at $1.47. So be very, very aware of this chart right here. And especially because we had the similar resistance all the way back at the beginning of July, around a month ago. And we want to see Cardano break ultimately this swing high back here, but it hasn't done it yet. So we're going to continue keeping an eye on that. Going over to the 6 hour, this is the money chart, because if we're looking at it, and I want to go actually, let me view this on a different daily chart, because I want to show you something. The reason I say this is the money move, the money chart, because if we look at this daily chart here, check out what Cardano just did. Cardano broke this right here, this Fibonacci from this area. And if you remember, we've been charting it. It's on the 6 hour, swing high, swing low, resistance. It broke the resistance, and it even wicked right at this last swing high. So this is a huge, huge move for Cardano. We've been talking about this entire area of resistance, this green channel for Cardano. We had a couple options that we were tracking, right? 2 examples. Number 1, we break the resistance to the upside, which we're currently in the middle of doing. Or number 2, we fail at resistance like Cardano did here at that last swing high, down. Now we've broken this Fibonacci resistance, and we're actually testing this swing high. And I mean, has it wicked above that area at all? No, it's like exactly. I mean, it's like right on the money in terms of hitting this area. So there's definitely probably some resistance here when we look at this last 786 swing high resistance, and then we also use the data that we have on this daily chart right here at this 786 line as well. So and remember, that 786 line that we're tracking here is that last move from this 20-day moving average cross below the 50-day. You see it right here. It's that last move before we get that move to the downside. So boom, boom, and we're at the 786 right now. So you see a lot of confluent resistance right here at like $1.40 getting ready to happen above the 50-day, and we have room for, I know we don't want to see it, a move to this area down here around $1.30. But we have the cushion, and that's important for consolidation, especially when you see all these daily green candles. There's a very good chance that Cardano comes back down and finally makes its way to break this swing high all the way back here. So this is what I'm watching. Listen, I don't have all the answers, everybody. I'm just tracking it with you as I knock over my water bottle. And this is what it looks like. Be ready. We continue to track all of the markets. We continue to anticipate and be prepared for every scenario, because that's what we're here for. Brilliant performance by the CCV Cardano stake pools. Here are anticipated numbers for upcoming Epic 283. And you can just see it. 113% luck, 116, 138, 100. The pools are operating awesome. We are just cruising along. And if you're not staking, stake. Stake with Crypto Capital Venture. I appreciate your support as we grow these things. I appreciate all of you. Time for me to go to relax. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Or if you're waking up to this, maybe Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Have an awesome, awesome day. God bless.